Fiber Podcast. My name is Barbara. You can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as Diva S. And welcome to the 44th episode of my podcast. I am actually not in my craft room as I typically am. Dennis is on at his gaming, and so I am here with Pearl. Hello, puppy. She has been sleeping very well because we have been taking her to the dog park, and she has been running like the wind. There were dogs there that wanted to be chased and that wanted to chase her, and she ran like a crazy dog, and so she's been sleeping. So anyway, thank you so much for joining me for my podcast. It's a little strange to be podcasting rather than vlogmasing. I really enjoyed doing Vlogmas. I was so surprised. I didn't think that I would be so happy to do it. And when I stopped on the 24th, I will confess that I have been missing it. It's mostly, sort of walking down into the quiet kitchen in the morning. Dennis always sleeps later than I do. And not having anyone to talk to besides Pearl. So it's been very interesting to do Vlogmas, and I really enjoyed it. And it's made the podcasting during Vlogmas a little strange because I feel like I've told you everything, but clearly not everyone who watches my podcast was watching Vlogmases. So it's kind of funny. But anyway, today is December 29th. Oh, my tea water's ready. I'm downstairs because typically I do my podcast in my craft room and I keep Pearl out of there. I couldn't possibly do it there tonight anyway because it is a complete disaster. It's got a inflatable mattress and it's got everything because I've had to clear out the guest rooms. Because my daughter Christy's coming tonight. We haven't seen her yet for Christmas, so I'm so excited to see her. I haven't seen her since the summer. And anyway, cleaning up my craft room is one of my New Year's plans, and it has to be done because that room is beyond description. I'm thinking about taking a video of a before video of it, but I may be too embarrassed to even do that. So I might not even do that. That's how bad it is. I mean, it's incredible. I can't walk in the room. My parents are coming for New Year's Day. They haven't been for a while. They don't really like to travel. They don't sleep well when they're not in their own beds. And but they haven't seen Jason and his girls for quite a while, and they're feeling like they haven't gotten enough of their great granddaughters. So they're coming, and Christy will be here too. So it's like an extra incentive. So they're coming for Christmas Day, and they were talking about maybe my brother would drive them, and I'm thinking to myself, oh my gosh, if my brother comes, I have no place that he can sleep. Because typically we would put a blow-up mattress in my craft room. There is no floor in my craft room. He's going to have to sleep on the couch. If he comes, he's sleeping on the couch. I am not opening that door until next year after everybody's gone and I start working in that room because it's crazy. It's unbelievable. But there's no room on the floor to put a mattress. So anyway, I am going to go grab my tea, and then I'll start talking about knitting, and I'll start having my podcast, although it's really kind of strange to do it in my Vlogmas setting, do my podcast, but this is the last podcast of the year. So, and I'm so glad to be with you guys, and I'll be right back. It will take a few minutes to steep. I've just poured it, but I wanted to show you. This is one of the things I've gotten since my last podcast. This was a Christmas present from David Dog Dare from the Dog Dare podcast. He is such a lovely man, and he sent me this. And he sent Pearl a toy, which, you know, every time he sends a toy, it becomes her favorite. And now, so her top 3 presents are the ones that he has sent. But he sent a squeaky snake, which she loves. It's the first thing she grabs in the morning. I don't know how he knows those things. But isn't this adorable? Goldfinches with flower hats. Oh my gosh. The Philip Tracy's of the goldfinch world. Someone's there making their hats. But my tea isn't quite ready. I'm having constant comment decaffeinated because I don't want to have caffeine at this late hour because it's after 8 o'clock. It is December 29th, and my daughter, who is arriving tonight, had her birthday yesterday, so I'm looking forward to giving her a birthday hug. She is my baby. She just turned 38. So, and I'm so happy to see her. She lives in Mississippi. She's a visiting professor at the Mississippi University for Women. And I'm very proud of her. Dr. Christy, that is. Pretty fancy, pretty fancy. So, I'm sorry. It's hard to remember what I need to tell you since my last podcast because I gave a lot of information on my Vlogmases, and like I said, I really enjoyed the Vlogmas, which was a shock to me because I'm not sure why I started doing it, but I really enjoyed it, and I expect that I'll do it again next year because I found it so satisfying. It was so funny. But I appreciate those of you who followed me on Vlogmas and sent me messages and made comments and reached out to me. It made all the difference. I loved the whole process, and I really want to say hello and thank you. I really appreciate it. It was a lot of fun. So, one of the things that was announced during my Vlogmas was that I did apply to go to SSK, the Knit Girls Knitting Retreat in Nashville in July, and I won an entry. It's a lottery because more people want to come than there are spaces, and I won the lottery, and I have replied I'm coming, and I need to send them a check tomorrow so that my place is held. But in fact, I was looking for airlines today, airplane tickets to Nashville. I had assumed I would drive, but I guess Dennis wasn't thrilled with the idea of me driving. I don't know if it was because he didn't want the car to be gone that long. You know, we have 2 cars, but one of them's the dog car. It has no heat. It has no air conditioning in the middle of July. I guess he may not want the no air conditioning car because I'm surely not taking it. So I may fly, but I didn't want to make any concrete plans because my daughter is in the northeast corner of Mississippi, and that's not that far from Tennessee. So, and Nashville. So I want to talk to her about maybe coordinating and visiting with her for a while, or her coming to Nashville and us doing stuff together, or I'm not sure what. So I may be flying, I may be driving, depends, but I am going to be at SSK, and I'm so excited. So if you're going to SSK, please let me know. I've never been before, and I need to figure out what the story is. I do recall other people who have gone that they have all kinds of knit-alongs and things going on leading up to SSK that give you like door prize tickets and things like that. So you may be hearing more about those things, and I hope not to be too boring about it, or if you tried to get in and didn't get in, I'm really sorry. But I was very excited to get the email from Leslie saying I got in, so I will be sending them a check and making some plans. So I'm excited about that. But I need to talk to my daughter since she's not that far, I don't think, from Nashville. Excuse me, I'm going to have some of my tea. So, other things that have been going on, well, it's right after Christmas. I had a wonderful Christmas this year. It just felt so special. And I'm not sure why, because my daughter wasn't even here with us. But I think, it's kind of crazy, but I think it was partly the Vlogmas. And I didn't start till December 5th. I was on my walk with the dog on December 5th, and I thought I'm going to do this, and I did. And I was really happy with it. So I guess I did 19, because I started the 5th and ended the 24th. But, maybe that's 20. Right, because I only didn't do 4. But I feel like the process of doing Vlogmas helped me kind of keep on track for what I wanted to do for my Christmas making. And so I really felt good about the gifts I was giving. I felt really good, I felt like I was sort of in control of things. It was interesting. And I'm not sure how much had to do with Vlogmas and just that, we've been pretty careful to pare back a little bit so we're not overcommitting ourselves and we're just doing enough to really make it special and not so much that it makes us crazy. So we do Christmas Eve with my children. Usually my daughter's here, but she wasn't able to come this year till tonight. But my son was there, and his wife, and my 2 granddaughters. And Dennis's parents were there. And it was really, really nice. And he made us a wonderful dinner. My daughter-in-law is now a pescatarian. She'll eat fish, but not meat. And traditionally for Christmas Eve, we would have spare ribs. So we originally decided, well, we'll just have crab cakes. Dennis makes amazing crab cakes. And, we'll just have crab cakes and that'll be great. And then, 2 days before Christmas Eve, I said, oh, how much trouble will it be to make spare ribs because it's Christmas Eve. I need spare ribs. So he made spare ribs and crab cakes. But somehow the dinner didn't seem like it was so much work. He wasn't overwhelmed. I was helping him. And it was just a wonderful, wonderful Christmas Eve. We had a lovely celebration. Isabel loved her sweater. And everybody liked their gifts, I think. And we just had a wonderful time. And then Christmas morning, we drove up to my parents' house, and we had a lovely celebration with my family, which Dennis's parents came with us on Christmas Eve, and then we went to my family on Christmas Day. And both of my brothers were there. My sister-in-law Shelley. My brother works in the Giant supermarket, and he's a deli manager, but they have some kind of special turkey that she really likes that came in at the last minute, and she didn't get to have for Thanksgiving, so she decided she wanted for Christmas, and so she said, I'm making Christmas dinner. So she brought the whole Christmas dinner. I made the party salad, but otherwise she brought everything, and we had a really nice celebration. So at the end of it, it was just a wonderful Christmas, and I couldn't have been happier, except if my daughter could have been there Christmas Eve. But she couldn't, and that's okay. She's coming tonight. So that's a very long introduction to say I've had a lovely Christmas. And I loved Vlogmas. And I kind of missed Vlogmas when I stopped. So anyway, this is a knitting podcast. I know it's hard to tell. But if you're here and stayed this long, then you already know that. So my finished objects, quite a few of them will be pictures because I have given my finished objects away. You might, excuse me, I got the hiccups. You might have seen them. Some of them during my Vlogmas. And I may have to dig around in my Vlogmas footage because I realized that I didn't even take a picture of the thrummed mittens that I made my mother. But I made thrummed mittens for my mother and my mother-in-law. And I know I have a picture of my mother-in-law's thrummed mittens, which I'm putting there. And my mother's thrummed mittens are, maybe I'm putting there too. I hope. This is a free thrummed mitten pattern, which I had found 2 years ago. And I don't know who it's by because I printed it out, but their name isn't on the printout. But there are a lot of free thrummed mittens patterns that I can, so look around. But they turned out great. I think, my mother was a little confused. Like, oh, what are these, But anyway, I explained to her when she goes to the mailbox every day that these will be what she'll want to wear in the winter. So I hope she enjoys them. And my mother-in-law both got them. I also knit my father-in-law hat. And here's a picture of him in the hat. I know I have a picture of him in the hat. I took it on Christmas Eve. He wore it. He put it on and wore it. And it's the same yarn that I made my mother-in-law's thrummed mittens with, so they'll match. And I don't know the name of the yarn, but if I can find it, I will put it here. If not, then sorry. Right, pup? Sorry. But I made those thrummed mittens. I also made a sweater for my nephew, my grandnephew, Wyatt. And I wonder if I have his, my mother's, my mother-in-law's, I found my notes from last week, the last podcast. My mother-in-law's thrummed mittens and my father-in-law's hat are both made from Misty Alpaca yarn in the Frida colorway. And for my mother-in-law, I used alpaca to thrum. I wasn't a fan, so I used Cheviot to thrum my mother's mittens. And my mother's mittens, I do not, if I find it, I'll put it here. If I don't, I apologize. So I worked on my nephew's baby's sweater while I was on vacation. So I finished that and I sent it to them. It was the Antler sweater by Tin Can Knits. And the yarn was from Knitting Obsession. And I don't have the colorway. But I have a picture of Wyatt and me with him wearing his hat because I sent it to them and I actually got to meet him in person. They came for Christmas Day. And he was definitely a cutie pie. So what a sweet baby. So I did, I finished that. It wasn't quite finished the last time you saw it. I also made, I've discovered that it's not possible for me not to have a last minute knitting Christmas because when I plan carefully and give myself plenty of time and don't overload myself with too many knitting projects for Christmas, it turns out that if I have an extra minute, I say, oh, well, I'll just make another present. So I did. I made another present. I ended up deciding to make my granddaughter's sweaters. I'm sorry for the earthquake. And so I made flaxlight sweaters and I made Isabel's, and I have a picture of Isabel here wearing it. She loved it, absolutely loved it. It was in Jake's yarn Dog Star Knits in the I'd Rather Be in the Bahamas colorway. She loved it. She put it on and she didn't take it off all day. She absolutely loved it. And so I had some left, so I ended up making her some tube socks. I hope these tube socks fit her. They're 10 inches. They should fit her. She's 4. Won't they be able to fit her? Won't they be? Anyway, this is the I'd Rather Be in the Bahamas colorway. Isn't this gorgeous? Dog Star Knits. Thank you, Jake. Oh my gosh. So gorgeous. This was my leftover yarn, so I decided to knit her some socks. And the reason I decided to knit her some socks was as she was opening her presents on Christmas Eve, she like tore the paper and saw it was something knitted. She says, "Oh, socks!" It turned out to be a sweater, which she was happy to get. She was very happy to get the sweater, but her first reaction was, "Oh, new socks!" So I thought, I need to make her socks. So I made her some socks, so she'll get socks on New Year's Day. They're coming back New Year's Day for a party. And so she'll get her new socks. But Sammy got her Tin Can Knits flax light sweater on the needles because I didn't have any sleeves on it yet. And I have finished it. I haven't put it through the washer yet. I'm going to wash it on gentle and dry it so they will get it as it looks from the dryer. This is Legacy Knits in the, I think it's called Frostbite colorway. This was the Christmas 25th Day skein in the Legacy 24 Days of Christmas package last year, which was my Advent. And I got a Christmas Day skein, exclusive, never to be reproduced. This is it. It was a beautiful color. I was not, thrilled with the base. It's the steel toe base, which is the 75-25, which I like at least 80% wool in my socks. And, but for a little kid, it's perfect for a sweater because they get overheated and mostly they're wearing it in the house. So I was really happy with it. And I love the color and I loved it when I opened it and I love it now. But I did all the ribbing in the I'd Rather Be in the Bahamas because I had only one skein and I didn't know if it would be enough. So I wanted to make sure. Anyway, here's Sammy's sweater. I have finished it. This is a size 2-4. She's 15 months old, but she's a chubby girl and I'm making the same size hat for her and for Isabel. So it's amazing to me. And Isabel's 4. So anyway, I was so tickled with this sweater. Oh my gosh, I love it so much. So I'm going to throw that in the gentle cycle and then dry it. I guess I'll do the same thing with the socks. And those will be delivered on New Year's Day. The other thing I'm delivering on New Year's Day is I had to redo my hats. Now I showed you these hats. They were pretty much finished, but I didn't have the animal heads on. These are so adorable. And I will put down here what these are if I can find the tag. It's a kit where you get the little stuffed head instead of a pom-pom and then so I got the blue because Isabel loves blue. And as soon as she saw it, oh, blue, that one's for me. And then this one, the only reason when I gave it to them, I put them together in the same package and said for Isabella and Samantha because the hats were basically the same size. Because Isabel's jacket actually has these colors in it, which made me think that this hat might work best for her, but I knew she'd love this one because it's blue. Light blue is her favorite color. And that's why I bought it. I bought this one for her, but I could not resist that lion. Is that the cutest thing? Oh my gosh. I love this. And of course, I love the pink and the orange together. So anyway, I think I'm going to wrap them again separately so they can be opened on New Year's Day because they turned out, when I made them, they were too small. They didn't quite cover Isabel's ears, so I went back and I picked out the woven in ends and I had more yarn, so I made them bigger so they'll fit both of them. But I'm going to wrap this one for Isabel and this one for Sammy, which was my original idea. And those are so cute. They're so cute, but they are finished. So today, hallelujah, the 29th of December, I finished all my Christmas knitting. I finished the sweater. Well, I finished the sweater yesterday morning. And I knit those socks, the Isabel socks, I knit both of these socks yesterday. what I did was I just knit one super long tube. I put a rib in. I started with a rib and I just knit like a crazy person and put a rib at the end, and then I cut them and put toes. So it worked out great, and I hope they're long enough. If they're not, I'll keep knitting. I have a little bit more yarn. But I knit those yesterday, I fixed these today, and now I am done. I am done with my Christmas knitting. I just think those are so adorable. So that's my Christmas knitting. I'm trying to figure out, I have all kinds of stuff in front of me. I should always do my podcast here because I have a nice big table. Although I am cleaning my craft room in January, so it'll be okay. I'll have room because I will be cleaning my craft room. So the other gifts that I gave to the adults were kitchen packages. Dennis made wine, so they got his delicious wine, and I made these oven mitts, and I showed you these in the last podcast, I'm quite sure. But since then, I have also made the aprons. And, oh, I forgot the Peppa Pig aprons. I will show you the Peppa Pig aprons. So I made these lovely aprons. I made 2 for the adults, and then I made an Isabel size one, and I made a Sammy one. And so Jason and Allison in their package had an Isabel apron and a Sammy apron with a nice long, and this one is for Christy. I will be wrapping it up and giving it to her after she arrives. And so there are 2 aprons, but I also, as a special surprise for Christmas for Dennis, because Dennis and I do not actually exchange gifts. Dennis is the kind of guy who has very specific ideas about what he wants for presents. And so for our birthdays, we each have a budget, and we get to buy ourselves a birthday present. And we don't exchange any gifts at Christmas. We started out when we were first married. We did that. Well, the kids were young, and that was different. But we evolved into not really giving each other gifts. But I made him a present this year, and I'm going to go get it, so you will be able to see it. So I have sewn for, since I was a kid, and my mother taught me how to sew. I didn't have a sewing machine for quite a while, and a couple of years ago, there was something Dennis wanted me to sew for him, and I didn't want to think about buying a sewing machine, so he bought me a sewing machine, which has been a little bit of a point of contention with me because he just went out and bought a sewing machine. And because I wasn't ready to buy a sewing machine, I hadn't done any research, I didn't know what kind of sewing machine I wanted, so he bought me a sewing machine. And I didn't use that sewing machine for a year or more. I mean, he bought a sewing machine and it just went in his room and nobody used it because he's not a sewer. And then when I tried to use it, I had trouble with the tension. I still have trouble with the tension. I don't like the machine. And when I have really bad trouble with the tension, I get mad at him for buying this machine, and then he gets all, oh, I gave you a present. It wasn't a present. He bought it because he wanted me to make that, and I was taking too long to buy a sewing machine. Anyway. So I had some trouble with the sewing machine because I have trouble with the tension on that sewing machine, and I don't know. I guess I need to take it to a repair shop and have them show me how to figure out how to get the right tension because I have trouble with the tension. Now, when I was making these, the thread kept breaking, but when it sewed well. But the thread kept breaking, so I had to keep dealing with the thread breaking, but it was okay because when I sewed, it sewed well. When I changed thread, it was really weird. The white thread, I couldn't get the tension right. It was completely different, didn't break, but the tension's not right. I mean, it's totally not right. So anyway, you don't need to know this. I might cut that out. Anyway, I was sewing. So so the tension's not right. So I have this, you know, curling going on. I mean, I could, if I pulled this really tight, I could end up breaking the thread because the tension's just not right. Totally random, not relevant. But anyway, so I've had this machine for a while, and my granddaughter Isabel was a big fan of Peppa Pig when she was 2.5. So I bought this Peppa Pig fabric thinking I was going to make her some summer play clothes or something like that. It's a cotton. And I didn't. Because, you know, that's like, you know, once I make a decision like that, that's like work. Which I don't do. So anyway, so I had this Peppa Pig fabric, and I decided if I was making aprons, I was going to make an apron for Dennis and Isabel that matched in the Peppa Pig fabric. So this is the Peppa Pig fabric. This is a used apron, by the way. But this is the Peppa Pig fabric. She loved it. So there was a present for Dappy. Dennis is called Dappy. Dappy and Isabel. And I made Peppa Pig aprons, one for Isabel and one for Dennis. So they have matching aprons. And the Peppa Pig aprons stay here for her to use in our kitchen. And the heart, red heart apron that I made her went home with her so she can use her apron at home with her parents. And anyway, so I made Peppa Pig aprons. Dennis was surprised. He didn't know he was getting a present. He loved it. And so I made Peppa Pig aprons for Christmas. And we were sitting here at the table after dinner, and Dennis said, oh, I'm going to get up and work on the dishes. And Isabel, you know, just 10 minutes before had said, oh, I don't do dishes. Mommy does the dishes. And Dennis said, oh, I have to work on the dishes. She says, oh, I'll help you, Dappy. We'll wear our aprons. And so Isabel and Dennis went and started working on the dishes in their aprons, in their Peppa Pig aprons. So we have a Peppa Pig apron, which is useful for cooking and also for painting and all kinds of fun things at Nana's house. So that was fun. So I made aprons for my Christmas presents. And everybody liked them. Well, I don't know if Chrissy liked them because she didn't get hers yet. But Isabel and Allison and Jason loved theirs. Sammy didn't make any comment, but she's only 15 months and she talks with her mouth closed. She's very funny. So those are my finished objects. I hope I have found pictures of everything because some things I have already gifted. So I do have some works in progress. I am lucky enough to have a little Bobbins project bag, Christmas stocking project bag. So of course I'm using it for my Christmas Eve cast on. Now I have been off socks. In fact, Dennis was shocked when I told him I was casting on socks. He said, I thought you were off socks. And I have been off socks since October, September or October. I think the problem is those socks I was making, I didn't like the yarn and I didn't want to make the socks and I just like, I'm done. And I was trying to do the Boxo socks with Kristen of Wool and Vine Yarns because I love wearing my socks. I have quite a few socks, well, not tons, but 20 pair. So not bad. And so I wear my socks all winter. And I can use more. There's no two ways about it. But by October, I was doing the Yarn Box sock yarn club. And I got a color I guess I didn't really like. And I started knitting the socks in that color. And I was like done. And they weren't plain socks. They weren't vanilla socks, and maybe I just didn't want to deal with it. I'm not sure. It's a combination of the yarn and the pattern. I don't know. It's a whip that's over there that's going to get torn out because I'm not going to do them. But I did do a Christmas Eve cast on I decided to go into my stash and figure out what yarn did I want to do. And I found a yarn that I had gotten at my local yarn shop. They had a trunk show of local farmers and people. And this yarn is a Tunis yarn, 90% Tunis, 10% nylon. And I'm quite sure this is not superwash. It's quite rough. Well, not quite rough, but it's not superwash. I can tell that. It's very squishy. And I cast on Christmas Eve, just like the rest of us, because I wanted to be part of the knitting community with my cast on. And I am making Vanilla is the New Black socks. I didn't buy Little Bobbin's pattern, even though I think it's lovely, because I just want to make plain socks. And I've been kind of taking note of my socks as I wear them. And the Vanilla is the New Black heel, I like the fit of that a lot. So that's what I'm making. So I cast on Christmas Eve, and this is how far I've gotten. Not bad, considering all the other knitting I've been doing. So I will be happy to finish these. These are not super washed, so I have to be careful when I wash them. But I wondered about the color when I'm like, why did I buy that color? But I'm actually enjoying the socks a lot. And certainly enjoying, and I'm enjoying knitting them along with all of you who are joining in the Christmas Eve cast on. And I have been feeling a little bit like I've been missing socks, so I'm glad to be back knitting socks. So that's fun. My other WIP, which got put aside because I was doing other Christmas knitting, is my Advent sock head hat. I'm really happy with how it turned out. Isn't that beautiful? I'm using my Advent yarn from Fiber Nymph Dye Works. And I don't know how many days are here, but there are quite a few. I am ready to do my decreases, but I haven't worked on this for quite a while because 10 days before Christmas, when I was all done with all my Christmas knitting, I decided to knit my granddaughter's sweaters and socks. So once I did that, I put this aside. So I haven't been working on it, but I really, really, really love it. And this is a sock head hat. And I don't know if you can see it. It's going to be slouchy. I'm just ready to do the decreases, and I'm going to have a beautiful hat. Look at this. I'm so happy with it. And I will continue with the Fiber Nymph Dye Works. I have them, all my minis in a bowl, ready to go. And I'm not going to worry about what order and that kind of thing. I'll just pick the next few that I want to put in there, and I will put them in. And, today I finished my re-knitting the hats for the girls to finish off their Christmas presents so that they're the right size. So up until, oops, I'm moving you. I'm sorry. Up until an hour ago, I was still working on those hats. But an hour ago, I decided it's time for me to knit something for myself. And I had kind of hoped in my last podcast that I would be finished with my worsted boxy by Christmas Eve, that I would wear my worsted boxy on Christmas Day. And I am not giving up hope for that. But I decided, since I really was sure that I was going to do the two colors, I added another inch or so to the body of the boxy tonight. I just picked it. Tonight was the first time I knit on it since my last podcast. I've been doing Christmas knitting all along. But the other thing I did was I have finally wound the balls for the gray that is going to be the next color. So this is Color Box. This is the Boxy by Joji Locatelli. And I'm at the armpits, and I will do the top of the sweater and the sleeves in the gray. So it will be, this is the Boxy. So it will be a 2-color sweater. And this yarn, this is the, where am I? I was so careful to bring down it's the Duin yarn. It's Chilean, and I don't know where they are. They're probably over there. Sorry. It's a Duin yarn. The Duin, D-U-W-E-N. I couldn't find it on Ravelry. This is the squishiest, most delicious yarn. It's going to be like wearing a blanket. I'm very excited about it. Oh my gosh. So lovely. And I'm going to keep working on it for the next few days. I have other things to do, like clear my dining room table, because I have, you know, everybody's coming for New Year's Day, and it's going to I'm going to need a room. But I'm also going to sit and talk to my daughter, and while I do that, I'm going to be knitting on my Boxy. This is such a yummy sweater. So this is the end of my works in progress. I did want to talk to you about sweaters. I have realized that I'm wearing my Adama KAL by Hilary Callis Smith. This yarn is the worsted yarn from Dog Star Knits in the Ariel colorway, and I made this a few months ago, and I love it. It's been great because it's been like 20 degrees Fahrenheit here, which is like -7, I think, Celsius. And I've been really enjoying wearing it, but I'm wearing it with my fleece. And I realized that I'm much quicker to grab my fleece than I am to grab the sweaters that I have knit. And it could be just habit, because I've always grabbed my fleeces. I've owned this fleece for almost, well, for 18 years now, 17 years, because I bought this fleece when we lived in Washington State, and we moved from Washington State in 2001. And, but, you know, I'm a little sloppy, and, you know, I eat, and I drop things on myself, and, you know, fleece washes up so easy, and it's nice and warm. But I would really love to be wearing my hand-knit sweaters. But I worry that I feel like my sweaters are kind of precious and should be saved for good, like when I actually leave my house. But you could tell from my Vlogmas, I mean, that was 20 days. And in that 20 days, I left my house to go shopping a few times. I went to Joann's on Tuesday morning in the grocery store. I went out every day to take my dog for a walk. I went to my in-laws a couple of times in those 3 weeks. And I went to the hairdresser to get my hair done. And this was December, which is typically a high interaction time for people with their, you know, social events. I don't have a lot of social events. I'm okay with that. I'm not in any way complaining about that. But the point is, if I am saving my knitwear for social events, what the heck? I'm never going to wear them. So I need to start wearing my sweaters at home where I will enjoy them. I mean, and if they get dirty, I'll wash them. And I can do that. I'm capable. But I feel like I need to come up with a sweater wardrobe that I will wear at home. I've been wearing my Monty Rose, said that it was my excuse me, my Rhinebeck sweater. I wore it to my parents' house. My mother admired it. She loved it. Oh, she loved the sweater I made her for her birthday. And she wears it all the time, and she's nice and warm. I need to make her another sweater because she really, really likes it. And she doesn't know what to do with the shawls. I showed her how to wear the shawl because I was wearing one of the shawls I made her at Christmas Day. And she's like, oh, that's a good idea. She doesn't wear them, so I'm not making her any more shawls. But she does wear sweaters, so I can make her another sweater. But anyway, I wore my Monte Rosa to my mother's, and but I'm way quicker to put on my fleece than my sweater, and I want to wear my sweaters. So I have a few kind of administrative things. I was asked for the recipe for party salad on my day 23 of my Vlogmas. I made party salad because I made it for my house on Christmas Eve, and I took it to my parents on Christmas Day. I put that recipe up. I started a thread for family recipes. If people want to share their recipes, I would love to see your family recipes. And I put party salad in there because this is the, party salad. I mean, salad is a stretch. It does have fruit cocktail in it, which is why it's salad. It's real, every time we eat it, we say, oh, we're having dessert for dinner, So, but it's a gelatin fruit salad with whipped cream and cream cheese, and it's delicious. So anyway, that recipe is there if anybody is interested in it. If you watch my Vlogmas episode December 23rd. But also, if you have recipes, I would love to see them, and we would love to hear about them. That would be nice. So if you want to add them to the thread, that would be great. The other thing I wanted to ask you is, I haven't had show notes for the last few weeks. Has anybody missed them? I'm not taking that silence as an answer because nobody's in this house but me. But if anybody's missed them, let me know. I will say that I have missed them a little bit because besides not doing show notes, I haven't been doing project pages. And that has come to bite me in the butt a couple times because there have been several projects where I've had to tear back and add more or do something, and it would have been nice to know what my needle size was on that project and things like that. So one of my plans for New Year's is to try to be better about keeping up my project pages. But it's obviously it's easier for me not to do show notes. So let me know if you miss them. Even if you don't miss them, I might still do them because I missed them. I mean, I looked them up today because I couldn't remember the name of this shawl or this cowl that I'm wearing, the Adama cowl. And I looked on my show notes, and that's how I knew, because I didn't have a project page. But if I had a project page, I wouldn't have needed show notes. So I'm going to do one or the other, and I think I might do project pages. But if you are missing the show notes, please let me know, because I don't want to make you sad. So the other thing I'm going to do for the new year, my plan, I don't make resolutions because, which is the same thing as plans. So, of course, I'm making resolutions, but I'm calling them plans because somehow that feels different in my mind, which is ridiculous. But the other thing, you know, and the other thing I want to do is I really enjoyed, I decided at the last minute, I want to make my granddaughter's sweaters since I have all this time before Christmas, a week. And I was done with my Christmas knitting, so I thought, oh, I could make sweaters. But one of the things I really enjoyed was going to my stash and finding yarn in my stash to make these sweaters for my granddaughters. I didn't go out and buy yarn. I had yarn. I had this gorgeous yarn from Jake, I'd Rather Be in the Bahamas from Dog Star Knits. It was gorgeous and it was perfect. And I had it in my stash and I was so glad to have it. And then this you know, then I thought, oh, I need to make one for Sammy. And I had that beautiful one skein from my December 25th last year from the Legacy Knits Club. And it was so much fun to go in my stash, shop in my stash pantry or whatever you want to call it, my yarn pantry, my yarn cubbies, and find the yarn to make a lovely project. And I have so many pattern books and so many patterns. I just feel like in 2018, I really want to focus on what I have. Now, I'm probably going to Maryland Sheep and Wool. I'm going to SSK. I'm going to Rhinebeck. I will be buying yarn in all of those places. So it's not that I'm not going to buy yarn anymore. But I'm really going to try to knit from my stash because I have such gorgeous yarns. I have gorgeous, gorgeous yarns. And I'm going to try to do that. And my January project will be my craft room. And maybe I'll be brave and show you the before. But I'm making no promise because it's really awful. And I don't want you to lose all respect for me. It's really so bad. I mean, really bad. You can't walk in it now because I've moved. Well, partly because anytime, you know, we're going to have both guest rooms in use at the same time because my daughter's coming tonight and my parents are coming for New Year's Day and staying overnight. So both guest rooms will be in use. So everything that's in the guest rooms that isn't for the guests gets moved into my room. So it's particularly worse now than normal, but it's really bad. So we'll see. But I will show it to you when I'm done. And it'll look nice, I hope. So that's my plans for the new year. Now I have a lot of goodies and I want to show you my goodies because I have goodies from my Advents. And I've been buying things, and I was sent some lovely things. And so I wanted to show you those. And I realized that some of them are over here. So I'm going to go get them. So I did an Advent swap with, and we had it in our group, if you wanted to join. And Helen from the Crafty Toads was my partner. And she sent me a wonderful Advent package. I had a garland that I put up on my window every day, and then I had a little stack of lovely things to open. On some days had more than just the yarn. Now I'm not going to show you the yarn because I did that on my Vlogmas, but I will show you my other goodies that I got, and I got lovely yarn, let me tell you. I'm going to be putting it in my granny stripe blanket, and I actually used my granny stripe blanket the other day as a shawl. I was cold, and I just put it on, and it, you know, it's a nice deep. It's like this deep and long, and I used it as a shawl, and it was wonderful. And I thought, oh my gosh, I got to finish this blanket. So I will be putting my Advent in that. But the other things I got from her were a lovely journal, and isn't that cute? This is fabric with a cow and a pig and a chicken. And this is tree-free journal. So this is like ecological, made in, you know, cooperative, and in India. And anyway, so adorable. And lovely, she gave me lovely knitted by tags, none of which I used for my Christmas presents. I gotta start giving people tags so they know what to do. And I got a finger puppet. I'm so fun. That is so fun. With lovely tassels on its ears. So, thank you. Thank you, Helen. But my Christmas Day present was a beautiful bag from them. And it's one of their snap bags. And I got to tell you, I'm not so sure about the zippers. I've been having trouble with zippers. So this has a giant square bottom. So this is a wonderfully big bag in a small package. And with this snap on the top, and this beautiful teal and blue and white butterflies. And that was my Christmas Day present. Thank you so much, Helen. I enjoyed my Advent with her so much. Oh my gosh. It was amazing. So fun. And then it has the Toad Hollow tag on the bottom. Really, really, really lovely. And this was my Christmas skein from Vibrant Nymph Dye Works. She sent it. It looked much nicer. First of all, I took it apart because I wanted to look at it. But this is so gorgeous. It's called Winter Out My Window. Isn't that beautiful? It's got bright green, and then it's got this sort of gray green and a little bit of gray. And I love it. I loved it when I opened it up. And then, turns out, Pearl loves it. She went and grabbed it off the table. Last night I'm sitting there and I look up and she's got it on her bed. I'm like, what? It was on the table. She got up and grabbed it off the table. So it is not Lisa's fault that it looks so bedraggled, but it is Lisa's fault that it looks like such a gorgeous colorway. Oh my gosh, I really love it. So thank you, Lisa. This was Vibrant Nymph Dye Works. I got gorgeous yarns from her, and I will be finishing my hat. Really beautiful. So those were the Advent goodies that I got. And then I got a present from a friend. I do a virtual knit night with some friends. And one of them is Juanita, who is She Knits on Instagram and Ravelry and everywhere in the world. She has a podcast, She Knits. Wrong. She spins. She spins, not knits. She spins. She spins. She has a podcast called She Spins. Her name is She Spins. I'm sorry, Juanita. But she sent me some beautiful, beautiful hand-spun yarn. She sells her hand-spun on Etsy. And she sent me these beautiful hand-spun yarns. Oh my gosh. I couldn't believe it when I opened the package. Thank you, Juanita. They are so gorgeous. I think this one is my favorite. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? And I lost the tag on some of them, but this one is the one that I love the best. Is alpaca and wool, and they're mill ends from Windswept Farm. Isn't that beautiful? So gorgeous. And then this one doesn't have a tag anymore. I could find it if I tried. And this one is Romney from Homestead something farm. Can't read it very well. Isn't that beautiful? What a beautiful color. So these are going to be a beautiful hat. And this doesn't have a tag, and she didn't remember what it was, but it's so lustrous. You can't really tell on the screen. But I am thinking hat. I am thinking hat. I think that's going to be enough for me to make myself a lovely hat. If I have to add some of this, I will. And mitts. I think these are going to be mitts. Thank you, Juanita. She spins. She spins. And she spins beautiful yarn. Oh my gosh. And she has an Etsy store. And I showed you my beautiful mug from David. Not only is it a beautiful mug, it came in a beautiful box. The box is as much a present as the mug. Almost. Not really, because the mug is amazing. And I love the mug because it gives you can put all your fingers in. That's sort of my criteria for a mug. I need to be able to put at least 3 or 4 fingers, but I have a small hand. So other people can put 3, I can put 4. Love this mug. Really. And Pearl is crazy about her sneak. So I got one more present. Before I show you I have a Christmas exchange that I did with Megan. Megan and I were partnered last year for a Christmas exchange with the Crafty Toads website from their podcast. And we have become friends over the year. And so we decided to do an exchange again this year. And so I got an amazing box from her yesterday. I'm so excited. Amazing box. Crazy amazing. But we have decided next year, because the Advent is so much fun, we're gonna do an Advent exchange, her and I, next year. And I really enjoyed the Advent, so maybe next October we'll talk about maybe doing an Advent exchange if anybody else would like to do that, and I'll hook people up, because the Advent was so much fun. So much fun to have and so much fun to open. Oh my God. So, but I bought some things. So let me show you what I bought, and then I'll show you what I got from Megan with my exchange. So Jenny from the Lone Larch podcast had a announcement on Instagram that she was doing a kit with Fiddly Dye Works, and she was doing these new bags. She has this new bag where she has her Lone Larch, and this is kind of a, I guess it's leather or paper. It's really hard to tell with this wonderful fabric. So she was doing a bag, and then you got with this. I do like a light inside, I gotta tell you. I really like having a light inside because you can find things easier. But the Fiddly Dye Works was the yarn, merino alpaca, 60% merino, 20% alpaca, 20% nylon, merino alpaca sock. And you got 2 skeins. One was called Silver and the other was called Wintertide. And I just thought those yarns were beautiful. I thought the bag was beautiful. And I couldn't resist. And these ladies are both Canadian, which meant the Canadian dollar is so low against the US dollar. So it was a really reasonable price for Americans, and I bought it. I bought it. Oh, look, she has a couple of little stitch markers there. That's so cute, but these colors were so gorgeous. But there's also a stitch marker. I got a stitch marker and a tee and this beautiful bag. With the tree, Lone Larch, and a tea. Egyptian licorice. I do love licorice tea. And this beautiful bag. And it was such a good price. And so I was really excited. And so I ordered this. So I don't know what these are going to be. Oh my gosh, they're so soft. And this beautiful bag. Thank you, Jenny. Gorgeous with the little march. Oh, so nice. So nice. And it's a great size too, so perfect. So I ordered that. And the other thing I ordered is a kit. Color work has been on my list of things that I want to do for a while, and I did that hat at Vogue Knitting Live last year. I took the class with Susan B. Anderson and made that hat, which I wear all the time. But I bought this mitts pattern. It's called the Norwegian mittens. My mother is, as I said, first generation Norwegian American, and these are Norwegian mittens. These are colorwork mitts, and it was a kit. So I got the pattern and I got the yarn. I picked the teal color, so I'm going to make teal and white mitts. And it's a very, very traditional pattern. It's one of this, like a Selbu traditional pattern. And I am very excited that I am going to be making colorwork mitts. So I bought the kit. It even came in a lovely little plastic bag. So I bought that. So that's fun. I actually haven't bought so many things in the last couple months. I was on vacation and haven't bought so many things, but I watched the Francophile Knits podcast with Devin today, and she had a beautiful yarn. And I ended up buying a sweater's quantity of it. She had a sale. It was on sale. I will show you that when it comes in. But I'm going to be making sweaters. I have been buying sweaters quantities of yarn lately because I'm all about the sweater. And if I don't have a sweaters quantity, I'm going to be fading and doing some kind of... I'm very likely going to be getting the Marled Magic sweater pattern from Stephen West. I'm not making the leggings. I'm not making the leggings. But the sweater looked interesting. Megan, who is my swap partner, she's making one right now, and it looks gorgeous. So I probably will be doing that. But I'm hoping that I'm not going to be buying too much yarn. In fact, I think I'm going to stop watching the shop update parts of the podcasts because, maybe if I don't watch. Anyway, so my last wonderful this is crazy. This is my box of goodies from Megan. It didn't even fit back in the box. I don't know how she got it closed. But it was this wonderful box. It was with mousse and Christmas stuff. And anyway, and it had delicious tea. I've tried the tea, summer fruit leaf with manuka leaf. Delicious. But she is such a sweetheart. She sent Dennis a hat. She sent Dennis a present. Wasn't that sweet? She knit Dennis a hat. Look at this wonderful hat. Oh my gosh, and he loved it. He put it on right away. But I hadn't made him give it back to me so I could show it on the podcast. And she gave him a dish towel. This has got a button, so it like hooks over your oven handle or your refrigerator handle. Thank you so much, Megan. That was so sweet. Oh my gosh, that was the sweetest thing, and it fit him very well, and he loved it. Thank you so much. That was just beyond. I couldn't believe it. So sweet. So I had for Dennis chocolate treats for me. I haven't tasted them. No, I haven't. I have no idea what they taste like. Yum, yum, yum. I never heard of these. What are these called? Tweets. And I don't know how I know this, but the chocolate bars have little imprints of birds on them. They're so cute. She gave me all kinds of little ornaments. I think these are the 2 islands of New Zealand. She's from New Zealand. I'm probably holding this upside down. So the 2 islands of New Zealand and rugby balls. Of course, they could be footballs, but I bet they're rugby balls. Anyway, some beautiful ornaments. Thank you. My favorite ornament, though, I have to tell you, is this. OMG. Which is so crazy, of course, for us in the Northern Hemisphere to think about Santa and his surfboard. I love this ornament. This will be on my tree next year. I'm sure Pearl will be old enough that we can have a tree next year. This will be on my tree next year. And every year after that. My surfing Santa from New Zealand. Oh my gosh. She sent me a bunch of other stuff, which I am not going to go into, although she sent me a little pouch with New Zealand and beautiful stitch markers, a kiwi, and other things. So thank you, Megan. And she sent me yarn. This is yarn that she dyed. And she says, original Isabel inspiration. My Isabel loves blue, light blue. Can you see that? It's a little bit blown out. Oh my gosh. So she's going to check if this is superwashed. If it's superwashed, I'm going to make myself a pair of socks and I'm going to make Isabel a pair of socks. We're going to match with this Isabel inspired yarn from Auntie Nana New Zealand NZ, which is Megan's Instagram name. Oh, I guess in Ravelry too she's changed. So that's lovely. And then this gorgeous extra fine merino DK. I got 2 skeins of that. Isn't that pretty? It's a little blown out there. It's a little bit richer than it looks there. And then she sent me a hat kit to make a hat with a pom-pom. Look at this. Got a pom-pom. And this beautiful purple yarn. Thank you so much, Megan. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh, and I just saw these. I didn't even see them before. Postcards. So anyway, and a terrific box. So thank you, Megan. So anyway, it's been a wonderful Christmas. A wonderful Christmas. I had such a good time with my family, and it was so lovely on Christmas Day. And I really enjoyed my Vlogmas. I must say, I really did. And thank you so much for your support. I really appreciated hearing from you that you enjoyed the Vlogmas, and I'm sure I'm forgetting something, and I've lost my book. Oh, there it is. But I'll be back in 2 weeks, and we'll be talking about the new year and how that's going to play out and what we hope for in the new year. But meanwhile, I hope you've had a lovely holiday season. Have a wonderful, wonderful new year. Oh my gosh. And I hope you have lots and lots of time to do the crafting that brings you joy. And thank you so much for your support. Happy New Year.